everybody's eyes with my dome.
And on that note, we are live.
I think we tend to say the wrong things at the exactly right time. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So for those of you who just joined us, I was a little concerned that my head was going to have too much sheen to it, and I didn't want to hurt anybody's eyes tonight.
It's all about timing. But hey, guys, welcome back to another Wednesday night edition of the Three Guys Gun Chat. We really appreciate you guys all hanging out. We'll let everybody kind of roll in. And guys, how's it going? What's new with you two?
Really good. Everything's good. What about y'all?
Just great, man. You know, I'm doing a plug for TacPack because I want to get their Glock box. Cool. So I'm wearing their shirt, and it fits really nicely, actually. I do like it. Look at that. That's some advertising right there. So everything's great. We're starting to see a change in weather patterns up here finally. So I'm supposed to get into the 60s on Saturday, but then it goes right down to the 40s again. But that's okay. I'll take it.
Cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we had a kind of mid 50s, but it was about 60-mile-an-hour winds, so nobody wanted to be outside.
Nice.
Oh well,
so a good day for kite flying and a bad day for toupees.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, what else is new with you guys? What's new in the gun world with you two?
You know, I just did the Lynx defense bag. I released that today because I was so excited because it's such a cool and an awesome bag. No kidding. Just shot my PPQ for the first time in a year, and that I'm going to do a video update on that because I'll tell you, a lot of people criticize this gun, man, but this thing is like a laser beam still. I love it. Can't help it. And I was telling these two gentlemen that I actually got my hands on an APX Centurion, and yeah, I was impressed. I like it quite a bit. I like the size of it. I think it's a really, really perfect handgun in regards to its size. But other than that, same old, same old.
Cool. Yeah, I'm setting up my race belt for the STI. I'm going to run the STI. I think we've got the match in 2 weeks. So I've been practicing a little bit with it. And I got the mag pouches from Double Alpha, and I was putting them together and opened up the package, and the damn spring they sent me, the actual spring, I opened it up, and the leaf spring was broken right out of the package. And I'm like, really? So I called them, and they're like, oh, it was probably, and I figured it was a heat treating issue. And that's what they said. But the guy was giving me a little grief thinking I broke it. I'm like, no, just bought it. So anyway, but got those put on. I'm just waiting to get that little leaf spring so I can make the third one work correctly. So that's about all I'm doing.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to try and hit the range tomorrow night. I've got to take the Diamondbacks to shoot. I've been kind of anxious to see how they would do, especially the DB9. Most of you guys know I've got a couple of Diamondbacks. They sent me to try out the DB9, and I think it's the AM2. I don't have either one of them in front of me right now, but I'm interested to try them out and see what it's like. It'll be an interesting occasion, if nothing else.
Cool. Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to try a new range, a shooting range this weekend myself, based on the, the lung issue I had the last time I went shooting at the one I normally go to. So I don't know. I'm going to see. I've been hearing a lot of good things, so I would like to try it myself and see what it's all about. So that should be interesting to see.
Yeah, Cat Chaser has a question for you. Should I trade the Ruger 2245 for a PX4 Storm in 40?
That I don't want to give you the bad advice. I mean, I like the PX4 Storm quite a bit. The 40 I hear is very, very low snappiness because of that rotating barrel. I think the PX4 is a really nice handgun. Not so up on the whole 2245 thing, but if you like the 2245, stick with it. If you want to try the PX4 Storm and you don't care about getting rid of that Ruger, then go for it, man, because I don't think you'll be disappointed. I mean, you can do so many things to that gun on the cheap. It's not even funny. You can get some night sights for it now. Trijicon has them. You can buy them off the Beretta website. You can actually throw a couple of springs in there. The hammer spring, reduce the trigger pull. So, I mean, it's actually a pretty easy gun to work with. So I'd recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the 2245, but it's, completely different gun. So it's whatever you choose to do. Triple C.
Yeah, definitely two different animals there. I mean, I'm a fan of the Storm. I think it's a great gun. I have not tried the Ruger, but I hear nothing but good things about it. So it's whatever your mood is. Going from a 22 to a 40, that's a big stretch there. So identify what your need and your want is, and I think you'd be happy either way, most likely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Depends on-
here's the lower on the PX4. I had to actually send the slide to my gunsmith because I could not get the front side on. I didn't want to bash the shit out of it. So I sent it over to him. So I'm just waiting to put it on.
Cool.
It's kind of a unique bird. You have to put everything on opposite that you normally would do because it's Italiano.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I was going to say, and Triple C's kind of answering it. I was going to say, I know that Triple C has a ton of 22, but it's like, do you want to introduce a new caliber? I know he has a lot of 9 too, I'm sure, but do you want, if you have other 40s and you have that ammo, hey, great. But if you're just introducing 40 for one gun, I don't know.
Yeah, and he's even saying he's just not into the 40. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I've seen a lot of cheap PX4s, especially police trade-ins. But the one thing definitely was I wasn't interested in the 40. But from everything I've seen, everybody who has shot the 40 say it does not shoot like a 40 at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I can go into gun stores and they've got Glock trade-ins. There's just everybody's trading in 40s. I mean, you can usually get them. You can get them for a smoking deal, and it's not like 40s are unmanageable. It's just it depends on what you want.
Right.
So, what have you been up to, KS, other than the 2 Diamondbacks?
Well, that's been kind of the big thing, and then just kind of reviewing some of the things I want to try and do over the next few months. I'm dying to shoot these 1911s like the STI. I'm very excited for that. I've yet to put a round through it, or the Dan Wesson, and I think Honest Outlaw is contemplating a Vigil CCO as well, so I'll be very excited to hear his thoughts on that. But I'm excited to put some rounds downrange with it. But I've been thinking about some of the different guns that we've been talking about over the past few months since SHOT Show, like the Mossberg. I still want to try the Arex Delta. I absolutely want to try. I think that looks really cool. And from what they're saying on their Instagram site, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked for that.
Sure.
And then the other one's the VP9 long slide. However, and I don't know, I don't think we talked about this at all, but you can actually get the long slide now. You can't get the whole gun, but it's just the slide, the barrel, and the recoil spring. So let me ask you guys, because it's around $500 for that.
Just for the slide?
Just for the slide.
I thought it was more than that, honestly.
God.
Well, yeah, I know. I was kind of thinking it was going to be too, but they were saying it's like $495 or something like that. So if you have a VP9 and you're interested in the long slide, do you think it is worth going out and just getting the slide?
Me personally, I mean, I know that it's the long slide, but hell, you can buy VP9 complete guns now for $499. So I don't know. And I do like the sight radius, but I don't know. I mean, or you can just buy the VP. You already have the VP9. You can just get the little block that goes on the front, to extend it, the weight block, and a little muzzle thing. I think that's like $99. I just get that.
Yeah.
Personally,
I think it's going to depend on what the price is of the full gun. So, I mean, if you're talking 700 plus, but you already have a VP9, I would just get the slide. You're going to save yourself money that way, and you're going to have the same damn thing because there's nothing changes with the internals on the lower. So why not just keep what you have, buy the slide, and then you save yourself a couple $100.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I was kind of thinking 2 different ways. I agree with you 100%. If you just want the slide, and those guns, they can be a little bit expensive, especially if you have the night sights and that sort of thing. Going with just the slide might be the right thing to do. However, if you're the kind of person who really likes to have 2 different guns for 2 different occasions, 2 different applications, and you want to do different things with it, maybe some work on them or something like that, maybe having both. Now, Keenan Gilliam was saying that he just ordered it. Congratulations, by the way. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts and also see it because, I mean, aside from some pictures, I really had not seen very much of it. So I'll be curious for that. But I just thought it was interesting that they're releasing the slide before the gun itself is available. I was kind of shocked at that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube that has it already. Jonathan Frost, I follow him, and he's shooting it in competition already because he was shooting the VP9s, and he seems to like it and seems to be doing pretty well with it. But I don't know. I guess to each their own. I mean, I'm all about having 2. Like if you really really enjoy gun, I'm all about having 2 of the same gun. But I would rather have probably a whole gun than just a gun and a half, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder, Keenan, you might be able to answer this, but is it serialized, or can you get it shipped right to your door? So that would be another thing I'd be thinking about as well. I mean, if it's going to be a registered item, I would almost prefer to go with the full gun. Of course, it's not available; it's not a choice right now, but I would be curious about that.
I would think it would be serialized because I don't think they put it on the frames, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, shipped to the door. I was thinking that when the guy was talking about it on that video, that he was saying that you can just order it and get the slide. But, I'm sure if it's an assembled gun, maybe they've got it in both places. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny in the comments. I'm seeing a lot of people, Gray Roads, Captain Phil, Celia Shadden. I'm seeing a lot of people say that they really enjoy the VP9. But it's funny, I don't see as many videos about the VP9 or the SK or any of those. But I'm in the same camp. I think it's a fantastic gun. I've always had good experiences with it. You just don't hear very much about them anymore.
I think they're still out there. I think a lot of people still own them. It's just, it's not a brand new relevant gun, so there's just not a ton of videos on them because I think they're kind of saturated. But then again, hell, somebody gets a Glock 19 regular, and all of a sudden they do a video on it. So there's nothing wrong with doing whatever you want to do. But
well, I think it's the same affair with the PPQ. It's still a fantastic gun. You don't see a lot of it being talked about any longer unless you're like one of those Walther people. But at the same time, I think it's just that, a gun like this has been out for so long. It hasn't seen really any significant changes to it at all. So I think a lot of times people forget just how good these guns are. Me personally, I'm not even a fan of the VP9, as you both well know. I'm more of the PPQ fan, but again, the PPQ, nobody talks about that. But I just think it's because you haven't seen really any changes to them at all in quite a while.
Yeah, you've got a question, KS. Is one of your Diamondbacks a DB9FS?
Oh no, it's just a DB9. So it's the little teeny one. I don't think it's got any other letters or numbers. It's not in front of me right now, but it's tiny. I mean, it's half the size of my hand.
Don't you have two of them?
Well, the other one's I think it's the AM2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a bigger gun. I think it's new for this year. So, and then the Diamondback, or the DB9 rather, is the Gen 4. So it's their, I guess, newest iteration of it. I'm still kind of, doing some prep work before the video, so I don't know as much about it as I probably should.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as the VP9s, I mean, hell, you can find them really inexpensive now. If you look around, like I said, I've seen them for $4.99. And that was not the black one. That was actually, I think it was a green one, and a gray one was $4.99 recently on Prepper's Gun Shop. So someone was saying that they were kind of expensive. So, I mean, it's just, look around for them. Get you a good price on them.
Oh, and Keenan confirmed it goes right to your door. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to ask 17 about something.
Go.
So how are you going to enjoy these new New York Meatless Mondays?
What the hell? Meatless Monday's not my house. I don't care.
Yeah, your New York. Yeah, the New York governor is talking about making all the schools and everything meatless Mondays.
Yeah, you know why? It's another lesson in history, folks. All you got to do is look at the French before the French Revolution. I believe it was Marie Antoinette who said, "Let him eat cake." Yeah. So the more our emperors keep eating the steak and giving us the scraps, the worse it's going to be for them in the end. So, like I said, I'm waiting for New York to officially tank and go bankrupt, and then eventually having a mass migration of the dumbasses who live here, so that we can recapture our state. I think it's going to happen sooner than later. That's for sure. But I mean, it's always what's good for you. They always say what's good for you. But $20 says they don't practice anything of what they preach. So yeah, I'll still be eating meat on Mondays if I want to.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I mean, who the hell is anybody to tell you don't eat meat? And also, if you think about it, okay, I remember this from when I was in school, and y'all probably do too. Playing sports and stuff like that. At lunch we would really carb up and eat a lot of protein, all that kind of stuff, because then we had like 2-a-days, or we had football practice after school and all that other stuff. Man, these guys are going to be eating a bunch of salad and falling out and passing out and all kinds of crap. And I'm just like, what the hell?
Well, it's all about the bottom line, which is always money.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you scrap more from the bottom by giving people crap? So
Yeah, I'm just like, what the hell? Pistol Pete had a question. Can you put the P10F slide on the P10C?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can. Matter of fact, I did it tonight, was playing around with it, and it works perfect.
Mm-hmm.
and Scott is saying that P10s are 339. I saw that also at Prepper's Gun Shop.
Yeah. Matter of fact, what's really cool about the F, if people don't know, is, God dang, hang on. The guess it'd help if I take the magazine out of it. It's got a dust cover extender on it. On the front right here, it's got the dust cover extender. And when you put it on the C frame, that actually fills the gap, so you have no spring exposed on the C. So it's actually pretty awesome.
Nice.
But, yep, fits right on there.
So it's funny. Young Guns is out there saying if you like a Glock and like a VP9, get a SAR 9. It's the baby of the two. Another SAR 9 plug. Because he was jesting me last night. We did a solo chat and he was talking about the SAR 9. And after that chat, Young Guns, I will have you know, I did go out to Prepper, whatever it is, and they did have a very good deal on it. I didn't end up pulling the trigger, pun intended, but it's now a little higher on the list than it used to be. But it actually looks like a pretty good gun. So we'll see what happens. But it's not expensive at all.
Yeah, and shooter
music lover is sexually harassing me.
Put her
shooter
in timeout.
72. Yeah, she harasses KS all the time. Does anyone really care about any of these basic duty pistols? Bring on the STI and other high-end wonder pistols. So, since we have multiple pistols, do y'all find yourself going to your higher end pistols, or do you find yourself going to your basic pistols? What do you find yourself gravitating to?
KS, would you like to answer that?
Well, I would say I think we need some context around that when you say gravitating towards, and in what regard? Because oftentimes, if I'm, I've told people part of my process for getting to know a firearm is, sitting on the couch and dry firing and just getting to know it and that sort of thing. And I do not do that with double action, single action, and 1911s. So it's fun to handle those, but aside from that, that's about really all I can do unless I'm using snap caps, and that just becomes tedious after a while. I really don't want to do that. And so almost always I've got a striker fire that's close that I can just kind of play around with. It's not loaded or anything like that. That gun would be across the room, but just, something that I could just kind of play around with a little bit. So I do tend to gravitate towards things like the Glocks and the Polymer 80s and Smith & Wessons and that sort of thing, just for ease of dry firing and handling.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead, 17.
Well, as the proud owner of no high-end firearms, that I do have just basically the run-of-the-mill generic type of guns, I don't have any gravitation to high-end firearms. I really don't. And I guess what it boils down to is the approach. What is it that you're doing and looking for? So for me, I go for what I can afford. There are some guns out there that I'd love to have, but I've said this a million times. I'm just not going to spend that kind of money on one handgun. So for me, I don't really have any high-end guns. The most high-end, if you want to call it high-end, is the P01 Omega. That for me is the most high-end gun I own. But I don't have any desire to own the really expensive firearms. I don't. And, that may change in time. But right now, I got to say, I really like the run-of-the-mill duty pistols that are coming out. I have no problem with them.
Well, and kind of what KS said, when you're just sitting on the couch or sitting in your room or whatever, I do the same thing with double action, single action. I just, throw a snap cap, one of the snap caps in there, and I'll just, dry fire even a single double action. I just don't eject it. I can just sit there and bang, bang, bang. That's the cool thing about double action, single action. As long as you don't eject it, you can sit there and hammer on it all day. I've worn some snap caps out. I've detinted them so far they don't even hit anymore. So I just keep changing those out. But it just, kind of depends on what you want. Like if I'm going to the range just to goof around, hell, I might take 2 or 3 just regular old guns. But, if I'm trying to get the competition head going, then I'll take a different type of gun. But, There's no like, oh, I only shoot high-end guns and that's it. I don't have that mindset.
Building off that a little bit, Dennis B was saying, so what's considered a high-end price? We've never really talked about that before. I think that's a very intriguing question. So what is a high-end price to you guys?
I mean, I would say probably 1,000 or up. I mean, that's what I would say. I would kind of consider that. And I'm not saying, you can get Gucci Glocks. I mean, it could be a Glock, but it's a Gucci Glock, and hell, you can spend $1,500, $1,600, $1,800 on it. I'm just meaning like price range. I look at production pistols. If you can just walk in the store and they're just laying there and they've got 3 or 4, like just for example, say a Glock, just a basic Glock. You can go in there and they'll have 5 or 6 Glock 19s, and you can play around with them, find the best one, which you feel has the best trigger, and you can buy that one. Those are just production guns and they're laying everywhere. But like an STI, a Shadow 2, something to that effect, they don't just have them laying everywhere. That's kind of what I would consider a higher end. And I'm not saying, that quality is better than the other quality. I'm not talking about that. I'm just meaning harder to find guns, maybe more pricey guns, but I would probably say $1,000.
17.
I think for me, my limit is 800. 800. I won't go above 750-ish. And honestly, I've never even gone there. But it's always about the other considerations you have in your own personal life. I have 2 young kids that are going to go to college, maybe. My son plays lacrosse, which, I just had to spend almost $1,000 just to pay for his summer league and then all the equipment. My daughter is involved in singing, music, this and everything else. So it's always about like your own personal life. I mean, when they're gone and they're in college, yeah, I'll probably go out and buy myself a really badass gun. Yeah. But right now, I just can't. I don't have the finances for that. And even if I did, I wouldn't put it towards that right now because again, they're much more important than my little hobby here,
Yeah. Priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would concur. I mean, for me, I think it's around $1,000. That's where I sort of, I guess, differentiate the two. And it's such a gray area. I mean, to me, there are a lot of very nice $500 guns, whatever. I mean, so a lot of it's about perspective and that sort of thing and what's most important to you. I'm a fan of Glocks and Smith and Wessons and things like that. They're not terribly expensive, but I think they're fantastic firearms. And so I'm equally as happy getting something like that as I am maybe a TSO or an STI because I want the things to work. I want to be able to kind of play around with them and all that kind of stuff and get the value of shooting and maybe carrying or whatever it is. So there's definitely value there. But once I get above about $1,000, that's where I really have to start thinking about, is this something that I really want, or is what's the priority there? And do I have to make some other sacrifices? And once you get, 1,500 and above or 2,000 and above, man, it's a whole different ball game. And I generally speaking, I just won't go there. To me, I adopt a little bit of the 17s philosophy in that I would almost rather have 2 or 3 or 4 rather than the one in a lot of circumstances. Not every one. I mean, like there are some special guns like the TSO that I think are such a worthwhile and fantastic experience. I'm okay with that, but that's not something that I would choose or want to do very often.
Yeah. And I mean, I have some really expensive guns, but I justify, I mean, I look at it, I don't just buy guns for YouTube. I don't just buy guns to do videos. I buy guns for what I want. If I want them, I buy them. Some are an investment, or I look at, harder to find guns as potentially an investment. But there's nobody out there. I mean, there's guys that can outshoot people with Glocks. You can have a $5,000 race pistol and get your ass kicked by a Glock 17. So that's, it goes back to the Indian also. So, it's not just the arrow, but, I enjoy those type of guns, but I do really consider, and I actually think, I don't just go in and throw money down. I'm like, is this something, I mean, I really think about it.
Yeah. So Joker brought up a point saying that I've actually gone over 750 for all the guns that I own. And he's right. You're absolutely right. I have. But remember, these are not at one purchase only. I mean, this is over a course of many years or months, whatever you want to say. where, you know, it's about what I have disposable at that time. You know, yeah, I could save, but honestly, guys, then there'd be no purpose at me having a channel on YouTube, because I'm not going to not do stuff just because I want to make that one huge purchase. But I mean, yeah, like I said, it's always about, you know, timing and what you can afford at that time. And honestly, and again, you know, I shot the Shadow 2 is really good. You guys know that. But for me, I just don't have an interest in a $1,500 gun. I just don't.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that honestly. I'd rather have a $400 gun. I'd rather find a deal on an M&P 2.0 under $400, because to me that gun is fantastic, and there's so many things you can do to open that gun up to make it just for you. You know what I mean? So, you know, you can buy that $1,500 gun, and that's fine. If that's what you want to do, great. But also at the same time, you should never discount the cheaper guns that you can modify that can actually make it, if not competitive, but in some areas better than that $1,500 gun.
Yeah.
But again, it's always about your choices and what you decide for yourselves. Well, I'm not here to convince you of anything. It's just what I choose to do.
Yeah. And, you know, real quick, I'm seeing a lot of comments, and I get this on my channel all the time, and maybe y'all do too. Y'all can answer if you do, but I get this, you know, I wouldn't have bought that high price of a gun. I would have bought a Glock 17 and $1,000 worth of ammo. Do y'all get that also?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get it a lot. Well, what they don't know is, you know, we have ammo. I mean, I stock up on it. I buy it all the time. So I've got tons and tons of ammo, and y'all might too. But, you know, that's, you know, that's where people are going to differ. And I would never discredit someone because that's their choice, you know, but of course we get beat up for it. I get beat up for it all the time. Maybe y'all do too. But there was a question. It was actually a really good question. Oh crap! Where did it go? Go ahead. I'll find it here in just a second.
Well, I was going to say, you know, every once in a while I think about it, and YouTube's going through some demonetization things right now. And so we're all kind of feeling that a little bit to one degree or another. And so periodically I think about, you know, if for some reason my channel was gone tomorrow, hopefully it won't be. I love being around, but if it was, you know, what would I do? Would I clear everything out and just stick to a couple and just enjoy those, you know, have a carry gun, have a home defense gun, and then have a really fun ranged toy. And, you know, maybe that could be super crazy, maybe high end something or other. And that be the end of it. And every time I think about that, part of me is like, oh man, that would be really cool. It'd be easy to deal with, low maintenance, all that kind of thing. And I'd be sticking to the same thing. But I instinctively want to try the new stuff or something different. And I did that before the channel, and I still do that. And so I don't think I'd be able to break with that habit at all. I mean, I like to experience new and different things, even if it doesn't turn out to be a forever gun. I just enjoy that.
Yeah. And I think we can all agree that we were doing this way before YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, this isn't just, oh, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, so let's start buying guns. I mean, that wasn't what it was with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, the comments are going so fast. I can't find that one.
So I got a question for you guys about this.
Oh, here it is. It's, do you stick with one caliber for everything? I'm sorry, Phil. I just didn't want to.
Oh my God, you said my name. Oh my God.
We're falling apart.
It's terrible. I quit.
So what about caliber again?
Do you pretty much stick with one caliber, or do you have a lot of different calibers of guns?
17. What do you think?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
One caliber, 9mm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm 9mm. I mean, you know, I had the pleasure of shooting Alaskan ballistics 10mm, and that was a ton of fun. And I would like to revisit that with a couple of other firearms, some 1911s, maybe some smaller guns as well, because I kind of want to see to push the threshold a little bit of a 10 millimeter and see if I finally say, okay, that's enough. I don't want to do that anymore. Which I may be able to find that relatively easily. But aside from occasionally stumbling into some other calibers for one reason or another, I by and large stick with 9 millimeter. It's plentiful. It's relatively inexpensive, and it doesn't beat me up. As I'm getting older, I appreciate not being beat up at the range as much. When I was younger, I'd shoot anything. I mean, you put a cannon in my hand and I would try it. I'd probably hurt myself, but I would try it. Now I'm a little bit more thoughtful about that. So it's pretty much 9 millimeter for me.
Yeah, mine's 9 millimeter and 45 for pistols. So,
yeah.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. 17. What were you going to say?
I'm not worried about it, man. We're buds.
No, what were you going to say? I interrupted you.
What I was going to ask you guys about was this whole monetization business, and this is a bit of a touchy question, so don't take it personal, you two. But let's say, you know how some people will say that on their gun channels they're not a political channel, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, whatever. But I always wondered about this. You know, when a gun channel says, "Well, I'm not a political channel, so I don't want to comment on that." But I always believed that as soon as you created a gun channel on YouTube, you automatically became political, because guns are political. They're not apolitical, they are political. So it's not like you're doing a Maybelline channel for your makeup, or doing toy reviews or something. You have taken, especially now, one of the most powerful political topics in our day, in my opinion, and you've made a channel that is surrounded by that. And yet you don't want to make it an opinion about politics, but until YouTube comes around and demonetizes you. And I've always wondered about that. Like, to me, that's a little bit of a hypocritical standpoint in some cases, because if you want to use the platform, right, use it, but don't complain that you're getting your money taken away when you're not a political channel. So I don't know. I just wanted to ask you guys what you thought about that.
Well, and I mean, I've commented.
And I'm not saying we're overly political, because we're not.
Yeah, no, we're not. I mean, I've commented on political things. We've talked about some political things,
Sure.
that are coming up, but we don't get crazy into it, or every little, news thing that pops out, we talk about it. I don't do that. I definitely stand for the Second Amendment and our Bill of Rights and things like that, and honoring the Constitution and not changing it. However, I don't get, too crazy about it. Like right now, and we were talking about that part of the chat, I've got 16 videos demonetized by YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are current videos, and I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with them. I don't know if they're trying to cut back on money. They want to try to save their money. I don't know what they're doing, but I don't care. I mean, it is what it is. But, in some, of course, larger channels or whatever might turn to the pandering issue, or, hey, pay me and pay me. I'm not going to personally do that. If they want to do that, that's cool, whatever they want to do. But, I think you have a little bit of a right, or I would say, to say, especially if they start messing with guns and stuff, you might mention it on your channel like we do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's some that just will not do it at all, no matter what's going on.
Right. And then, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer to this. Yeah. So don't take it personally, because it's not meant that way.
Yeah.
Right. I would say for me, I mean, I set up this channel to talk about guns. I mean, very, very simple premise to the channel: guns and gear. I mean, obviously in the live streams, we occasionally go down different paths, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I try and keep the politic and the views outside of that, because I just want to keep to that simple. I want people to come to my channel to see guns and gear and talk about that. And so that's kind of the premise there, just for the sake of keeping it as simple as possible, and just keeping the other stuff for other things. I mean, because I think there are other people that do it much better than I could from a political standpoint. And so I don't think it's the right medium for me, I suppose.
Right.
But in terms of the monetization thing, to me, we put out content on YouTube, which makes YouTube money. And so because people come on and they watch the content, it's consumable media. And so there's a relationship there. And to me, any monetization, that little tiny bit of money that we, hopefully make on a monthly basis, I don't know about other people, but for me, I throw it right back into the channel. It goes right back into, camera gear or audio to make the quality a little bit better. It goes into ammo and guns and that sort of thing, to be able to keep that free content going so people can come on and enjoy and express their opinions and thumbs up and thumbs down and all those things that they do in a free nature, because you can just jump onto YouTube and watch great videos or whatever. And so I get a little cranky when the relationship or the agreement that we have with YouTube is we put out content and they monetize it and they make ad revenue off of it and share a very, very, very tiny little sliver with us. And that relationship should keep going. And I would want them to keep politics out of it, because
Sure.
it's far more important for them to keep away from the politic than it is for the channels who want to express their opinions.
Right.
YouTube, in my opinion, should be 100% down the middle of the road, just offering this platform for people to share content and within reason, obviously policing things that could be dangerous or harmful or teach people things that could be terroristic or anything. We don't want that. We absolutely don't. But all other content, in my opinion, should be welcome and should be treated the same.
Right, because they actually control the vehicle for which we're able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only thing that I would say is if they're receiving, you know, any kind of financial backing from the government, tax breaks, whatever it might be, then technically they have to be able to make this platform available to everyone without discriminating in regards to what you show. Obviously, as you said, within reason, but at the same time, they're not doing that. So technically they're violating quite a bit of laws, because they're receiving tax breaks from the federal government. And that means that this platform should be open to the public without, you know, saying, oh my gosh, you showed a black gun and it's dangerous and we're afraid now. But it, you know, unfortunately, there's not enough people screaming about that for a reason.
So real quickly, two things. We are now demonetized, I'm sure. But then also, MD Polo, thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate that, brother. That's very meaningful. We appreciate it. And MD's got a channel out there.
Yes.
So everybody go wander over and check him out.
Yep. I subscribed to him the first day, and I think he's got 3 videos out, 2 or 3 videos. So
that's where it starts.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's PO1, by the way.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, we can all get us a 40 now.
40?
40. But yeah, and you know, Vanessa Kitty, you know, brings up a point. You know, they are a private company. They can do what they want. They control it. You know.
But if they get public funding, if they're receiving federal tax breaks, then technically they are in violation of those tax breaks. They're getting them because they're a public format.
Yeah.
So they're violating that.
If we all did makeup tutorials, you know, we would probably be killing it. And they would probably be like, oh, sweet, we're going to give you all the commercials.
I'm not going to lie. I've thought about doing another channel on some stupid garbage, like reviewing toys.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I thought about it, because I swear to God, I'd have more subscribers than I do now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Some friends of ours, their kid watches, I don't know what channel it is. They were telling me about it, but it's some guy who opens up toys and puts them together and plays with them. And their kids are just enamored. And this guy's got like 3.5 million subscribers. And I was like, holy crap, man, I'm in the wrong business.
Now, wait a minute. You say guy, is this an adult?
It's an adult. Yeah. Well, he might be a teenager, but yeah, he's, you know, into like
playing with toys.
And and then they're like, you know, I guess he was doing like Transformers, and, you know, he might be just one of those types, but, you know, who knows? Yeah. Pistol Pete has very good question.
I saw that.
Yeah. We were actually talking about that we would love to have Guns and Gear on.
Yeah. So if any of you know him personally, we would like to invite him onto the show. I'm pretty sure he's going to say no, but it'd be pretty sweet if he could. But I don't think, I can speak for myself. I don't have enough pull in YouTube world to get a guy like that on this chat.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever.
Yeah. REB's asking if we watch Sage Dynamics.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I watched one of his tonight. I had a comment on a video, and I don't remember which one. I must have mentioned red dots. It might have been a live stream or something. I'm a fan of a 3.25 MOA on my red dot. I mean, I think that's kind of a good middle of the road optic, at least for me, or dot for me. And he had long been a fan of larger dots, like a 6 or 7 MOA. And for good reason. He had good reason to do it. I like his channel a lot. I think he's a very smart guy. He's not reversed his opinion, but he's added on to his opinion. I mean, he still thinks that a 6 or 7 MOA is a great place to start and learn the technique because it's a bigger dot. It's a little bit more forgiving as you're moving the gun around. But then moving on to a smaller MOA. In fact, he's using a 1 MOA now, that's a tiny dot. That is tiny. But I thought it was just really fascinating. And I kind of wanted to go back and find that comment and be like, dude, go check that out. But there's no way.
Yeah. I saw that too. And that is cool that he's doing that. Speaking of red dots, I got me a new toy.
Nice.
Wow, that's a nice box.
So yeah, it's a box.
Sweet.
So got me a new toy for a pistol. So, I've been hinting that I was going to try to get back in the carry optic game. So I'm going to give it a shot again.
It's really funny. I've been trying to catch up on the comments a little bit, and you guys, everybody out there, are so amazing, and a lot of us have been around each other for long enough now that you guys have really gotten to know us. And Stephen Worth was saying KS likes the Muppets. That was just so funny. It was an offhand comment. However many chats ago, I did. I grew up on the Muppets, and Animal is still my idol because I was a drummer. That's just really funny. I mean, you guys,
Animal,
huh?
Animal.
I know, right, man.
I was slightly disturbed when you said that last week. So
I'm not afraid to admit it, man. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to apologize to the family. I wasn't on last week. Work called, so I had to handle some stuff. But
so really quick, Bengal Blitz has a question. He wants a double action, single action because I want a gun with no safety but a harder trigger pull. Getting conflicting info from gun stores. Can you carry a double action, single action hammer down, or do you have to carry quarter cocked or half cocked? Hello?
Go ahead. Show your baby.
All right. Well, I would say something like the PO1. I think it's great. It's got the decocker. It's a hard enough trigger pull. I mean, this is about 9.5 pounds, something in and around that area. But it's a fantastic option, and it's about the size of a Glock 19. So a lot of holster options. It's just a good gun. That one always seems to come to mind.
Yeah. You can do. You can do. The PO9, PO7, it's the Omega, so you could change it to the safety or the decocker, whichever you choose to do. And they're exactly right. The PO1's a great option with the decocker. I mean, and hell, I've carried hammer down. I've carried 1911s, cocked and locked. I mean, it's however you choose to cover or to carry and feel comfortable with. Some people don't want, cocked and locked. I mean, I know people that they just won't carry it that way. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I'd go with a PO1 first. And if you want one that you can carry where the hammer's fully down, then go with, I don't know. I think PX4 drops the hammer completely because it has a safety decock. But you can always switch that out anyway to decocker only. So,
and I mean, even like, standard double action, single actions. I mean, like whatever we shoot the USPSA with Shadow 2s, you have to start with a hammer down. So you have to pull the trigger and drop your hammer real slowly and start with hammer down. So you can do that with a standard, pistol also. It's whatever you choose to do.
Yeah. Well, and Dan O'Neill was saying that SIGs are great options as well. That's absolutely true. 226, 229, 227, 220, whatever. They've got some good options. There are a lot of really good double action, single action firearms out there.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. KS Gun Guy. Well, he's asking all of us. I have 4 dedicated carry guns, all with red dots, 3 RMR and 1 507C. That's cool.
Nice. That's a good collection. Yeah. I've been having some fun with this old Hollow Sun. I'm still doing some work on it. It's going to be a while before a video gets out on that because I want to spend some time with it. It's been long enough now since I've really dedicated time to a red dot that it's trying to get back into that transition. Some people say all you have to do is pick it up and you can go. I can't. I actually have to work back into it because there's some subtle differences between how you treat iron sights and a red dot, because you're going from 2 focal planes to 1 and that sort of thing. So it always takes me a little bit of time to get reacquainted there, but it's a lot of fun doing it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Joker's asking a question. Anybody going to check out the Aimpoint Acro? I have a buddy of mine who actually ordered 2 of them, and he's having them milled for them. So I'm really anxious to see that thing. I mean, I've seen it, not in person, but I've watched videos on it. And I think it's going to be a really, really nice option. But I'm excited about hearing his input to see if I want to get one.
Nice. So Joshua Hong is saying, what about the Phantom? Just saw one at a shop and exercised good self-control. I'm impressed. I can't do that. And came home and watched our videos on the Phantom. Do you guys still enjoy them?
I no longer have a Phantom. Probably one of my greatest regrets was getting rid of that gun. I would recommend it over every other polymer hammer-fired gun from CZ.
Okay. What do you think, KS?
I loved it. I too don't have it. It's a channel thing. There are a lot of guns, unfortunately, that I would have loved to have kept that had to go for the sake of the channel. And that was definitely one of them. I was very impressed. I also prefer that over the P07 and the P09. Just feels a little different. They're not better or worse or anything like that. Just a different feel. And that was one of the few like hardcore curved triggers that I actually didn't mind. And I think it just happened to be the ergonomics and the shape of the grip. It just kind of sat just right for my finger. And I enjoyed that gun, and that thing was a laser. It was extremely accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that's where I will differ from y'all, and I've put my hands on them and played with them, and I think it's a great option because it does take the CZ75 mags, so you're not having to go to a different mag altogether. But I prefer the P09 because that hook trigger does bug my finger, and you have to change the sights out because those sights are really tiny. And I know that they'll get by, but I prefer the P09 over it. It does have great ergonomics. I think it's a fantastic gun. It's just, for me, the P09 is better. There's nothing against the Phantom. I think it's a fabulous gun. And I have seen the prices come down on them now too.
Yeah, not by much. They're still fairly expensive. Usually you can find them in the upper 5s. Yeah. Almost in 600 usually. I was looking at one. I was actually going to buy another one, but it was all FDE. Apparently CZ made a few of them, but the people wanted like 750, 800. I was like, nah, it's not happening.
Jonathan is asking Big J, and this goes for all of us. Have you shot the Staccato C? I think it's the smoothest gun I've ever shot. I have put my hands on it. It is, kind of small. And KS, what do you have there?
Well, I have a Staccato C that has 0 rounds through it, so I have no opinion yet other than it feels phenomenal, and it's like it's on ball bearings. I mean, racking that slide is just incredible. So hopefully it'll work.
Oh, I know. I'm sure it will.
It sure feels good. I'm excited to try it, but I'm also wanting to try the Staccato P as well, just to see if I like the double stack better.
Yeah, for those 2 sizes, I prefer the full size double stack, just for me.
Real quick, Ian has asked this several times. Ian, sorry I've missed you. Best of both worlds muzzle brake for noise and recoil for an AR 18-inch 223 wild barrel. Now, I don't have any opinion on that. I don't have enough experience, but I wanted to make sure people knew that question was out there. And fellas, you guys have any opinions on that?
I really like, the Lantac Dragon, and I like the, what's the other one? Oh crap. I did a video on it, if you want to go back and check it, but I've got one of those, actually 2 of those, and I really like them. I think it's Precision Armament, I think, but I really like those too.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
That's not anything I'm even, remote.
And I will let you know this, they are super, super loud to the people beside you, but man, they really keep the muzzle super flat. So, and I don't care about the people beside me, but well, it's kind of, you want to control your gun and they can deal with it. So, and I'm not talking, even if you're outdoor, it's very loud. But that's just my opinion.
All right. Can I ask you guys a question really quick?
Yeah.
All right. So, you're both involved with Instagram and a lot of gun pictures on there. What is, for today only, what is the dumbest picture you've seen on Instagram? Or at least just where you just shook your head in regards to
guns or what?
For guns, man. Anything in guns. Anything that's made you shake your head today.
I've got one.
Go ahead.
I got one.
So I saw a GIF, and it's awful. This is not something to laugh about. This actually, a guy was shooting a revolver, and he took one shot with a revolver, and keep in mind his kid was kind of in the forefront, so he was closer to the camera, so he was off to his right, and then another dude behind him, and so while shooting, all safe, all fine. Well, the guy then immediately did one of these things and then lifted it up. Covered his kid the entire time. I mean,
the guy behind him
at his head. Yep. And this is where, those 4 rules. I was talking with a buddy of mine who's not really into guns, but he's starting to kind of get interested. So we sat down and kind of looked at some different guns. But the first thing we talked about were the 4 rules. The 4 rules, and one of those rules is never point a gun at something you're not willing to destroy. It was hard to see if he still had his finger on the trigger or not.
He did.
Well, fair enough. So I mean, it was just that was one of those things that just shook my head, and that's the kind of thing that makes the rest of us look like idiots.
And also, do you know what kind? That revolver was a single action only, right?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. It was single action only. If you read the description, it was single action only. And I was just like, holy crap. Yeah. I was just like, wow. Yeah. And he just waves it back to the guy like he's going to hand it to him. And he's just got the damn pistol right at the guy's chest. And I'm just like, holy crap. Yeah, that was bad.
What did you see?
17, what's yours?
I saw a Glock 48 with a compensator on it.
Oh, yeah.
I know you guys, some of you guys out there like compensators on your 9mm and all that great stuff, but I mean, I think that's just taking it to a different level. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I've tested guns without comps and with comps, and 115, 124, 147, and everything. Sure. And I can tell a difference with a comp. So I don't discredit that person for that. But
I'm not discrediting anybody. I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And what I like on it, or what I think is really funny on Instagram, is when people take like Mosin Nagants, and they take them and they put like freaking $1,000 chassis on a Mosin Nagant, or they just bubba it all up. Like they'll paint it, Cerakote it, and everything, and it's a Mosin Nagant. I mean, I'm just like, wow,
I actually have less problems with people who do that because, Mosin Nagant is not a very light rifle by any means.
No, it's not.
It's extremely ergonomic. So if you have the opportunity to change the stock out, hell, I would do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a $200 rifle, and they've gone up a little bit, but I remember when you could buy them for $100. But and then they're like, oh, check out my, it could have some alloy, like I said, a $1,500 stock, a chassis in a $200 blown out barrel, because that Mosin Nagant's probably been through hell and back. Probably didn't have any lands left in it.
It's funny. Paul is saying, considering the obnoxious recoil on the G48, I would say a comp on that gun would help tremendously. I mean, there's a practical application for sure, and yeah, it would definitely help. There's no doubt about it. I think there's that place where practicality, and what you're talking about is practicality for sure, and then going the opposite end of that. I mean, I was thinking about with this DB9, if it stays around, I want to cut it for a red dot and do the comp and the magazine extensions and everything, bling it out really good. So, but there absolutely is practical application for that, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think like I've said before, 31 flavors for everybody. I mean, if you want to do whatever you want to your gun, do it. And if you want to post pictures on it, hell, do it. I mean, that's everybody's different.
I'm only saying that because I can't get a compensator, but
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to as I muzzle myself. But everybody, just so you realize, it's just the slides.
Yeah, and that's what's really funny. I was talking about Precision Armament. I really like their muzzle devices, and they're in New York. They're actually in, I think, Yonkers, and
really?
Yeah, they actually make badass brakes. I mean, they make them for 30 cals, the whole works, and
It's good to
they're
know.
in Yonkers, New York.
I'm telling you, the only thing that aggravates me about this Glock 48 is this effing recoil, the guy rod spring.
Oh,
I still have yet to be able to figure out how to get this gun all put back together again on the first try.
huh.
For whatever reason, this guide rod does not want to function correctly when I put it back together.
Well, that's like pulling the guide rods out of the STIs. Man, they can be like a crazy pain in the ass to take apart on those 2011s.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken 1911s apart tons of times, but the 2011s, you got to just get it just right and hold your tongue just right to pull it out. And I mean, you've got like just not a lot of room.
Right.
Yeah, wait till you try an STI. That's one thing. And as I'm thinking about the review way off in the distance, it's going to be a while. I'm like, God, do I take this off on camera? That's one thing. And I occasionally make a comment about this on the video to try and give people an appreciation. When you're making the video, it's basically like this. You're doing one of these things. You're way out here and the camera's right in the middle, and you're trying to kind of move around it and everything, and trying to take apart a Glock is not a big deal.
Yeah.
But taking apart something like a 1911 or whatever, I am not looking forward to that, because that spring is under serious compression. You're supposed to hold it really firmly while you take the slide off and everything. And I'm just afraid it's going to be an utter disaster. So I haven't decided how I'm going to approach that just yet.
I think you should do it.
I'm sure you do.
That's what I was talking about, is the STIs. They're a pain in the ass to take apart. So, but, yeah, and they're talking, I guess someone's talking about what carry ammo.
Yeah, I think Dennis asked about it.
Yeah, HST 124 for me. What do you guys, I know you carry different things, but.
Anything that I got.
I would say, I do Fort Scott munitions, 80 grain. I like that quite a bit, but also Federal HST 124. So I get kind of a broad spectrum in there. But sometimes it depends on the firearm that I'm using or the mood that I'm in. I'm not necessarily partial to any one thing.
Yeah. Shooter, ST72, that Omni, the STI Omni is awesome. The Omni host is pretty damn sweet. Yeah. Really like that one. But
so
they're not cheap. They're $4,000.
So I'm curious. Ree is saying just turn the camera towards you and down. So I 17. I know when you're doing yours. I mean, yours is kind of the same sort of first person view that I do, and Big Johnson, you do it the opposite. So you're kind of coming at the camera a little bit. It's interesting. I mean, I think I'd be completely disoriented if I turned the camera around and came back at me. Plus, I'd have to completely redo the room because the desk is up against the wall. So I don't think that would work very well for me.
No, I'm doing them now where the camera's coming right up here. So it's right in front of my face. So like you guys, and I'm having to do that. So
yeah, I mean, the camera I use to shoot my videos on is totally different than the webcam, because my webcam is right here, right there.
Yeah.
And then the camera I shoot with is up here.
Yeah.
But I'm in a friggin' shoe closet, so I can't even like move with the camera on. So it's great. Thanks, honey, if you're watching this. She's not watching it.
Well, at least you're not outside in the dog shed. So
yeah. Listen, it'd be more room in there.
Yeah, right.
For
Move
sure.
over, dog.
So gentlemen, it is getting to be pretty close to that time. So anything you guys want to part with?
Well, definitely thank the family, out there for watching. We really appreciate y'all. It makes it all happen. I've got some stuff coming up. Got a new bipod. If you don't follow us on Instagram, please do. Got the Trigicon RMR. I'll be putting that on and shooting some videos and practicing with the STI. So that's what I've got going on.
I am going to be taking this little guy out again because I absolutely sucked shooting it. I remember Cash just saying recently, just a couple of minutes ago here, about there are little differences between shooting irons and red dots. Maybe for you, pal, but for me, there are huge differences because I can't shoot this worth a damn. One of the other concerns I have, and the reason why I'm going to take it back out, is because I'm telling you, this red dot moved. I had it fairly centered where I wanted to shoot, and then I remember pulling the trigger and everything was still the same, and all of a sudden the dot shifted to the right. So I've got to run it through its paces and see what's going on. If it's me, which probably is. If it's the optic, which I don't think it is, but I just did not have a very productive day with it shooting. I definitely could do better, and I'm going to try. But I am determined to get this red dot down. So it's going to be a day for the PPS and the Glock 19 MOS because I want to try it out. And eventually I'd like to mill my P10 slide, which I'd like to get a hollow sun for that as well.
Nice. I think you'd like it.
Yeah. I do like them. I just, I got to get the funding. So I'm going to start a GoFundMe page for a hollow sun red dot. I hope you guys can all contribute to take money out of your own pockets and give it to me. Thank you, guys.
Here we go. Pandering.
Oh, come on. Everybody that's doing it right now.
Paul even had some advice for you. Did you try pulling the trigger shoe forward a little bit on your?
Yeah, I saw that. I did try it. Actually went on a lot smoother. So thank you, Paul.
See, there you go. Some free advice. But anyways, everybody, thank you very much as always for joining us, giving us a little bit of your time on Wednesday. We can't thank you enough for that. We love each and every one of you guys, have a lot of fun with you and learn from you every single time. So everybody stay safe and have fun out there. And we will definitely catch you next week.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Carry on.